Okay, so welcome to our live instructional webinars designed to support Memory Book Online Yearbook program. Today, we are going to be focusing on functions that relate to building activity or candid pages. Now, specifically, we will be reviewing the page bleeds, margins, the toolbar, different design functions that we have, and then go into templates and themes. So this webinar is approximately going to take about 45 minutes, could go up to an hour. So I'm just going to jump right in here to our pages. So I'm going to click over to the next page. Let's see. This looks like stuff I have done before. Yes. Bring that over. I'll clear this off. All right. So where I'm at here in the program, I am on the page designer or new page designer. So when looking at our page, this is just a basic two-page spread that we have here. Going around the page, we've got a couple different lines, a couple different areas, and what do those kind of represent and what do those mean? So when we're looking at our page, we got the first blue line here. This is our inside page margin. Anything, you want to keep photos and text within, primarily keep photos and text within inside this blue margin. No, anything within this blue margin is considered safe and not at risk of being trimmed, like when it goes to the final, when it goes to the trimmers. Moving out to the page here, this red line here, this is our estimated trim line. The reason this is, we say it's estimated here is because during production, there could be up to a 1/8 inch variance on where that gets trimmed at. So that's, and that factors, production factors come into play there, like how, how much is being trimmed at a time, the paper involved, how sharp the blades are, operator, how the machine's working, different little things like that that can affect the process. So that's why we say it's estimated, and it's up to a 1/8 inch variance. Now, this outer gray area that you see here, this is what we call the bleed. Now, this is the area that will actually get to be trimmed off. Now, what bleed means in terms of printing, bleed means full color printing that extends beyond the edge of the page. And that way, when your pages go to get trimmed, whether there is that 1/8 inch variance in play here, then it'll kind of guarantee that when your page goes to get trimmed, you have full color out to the edge, and you're not left with any kind of like unsightly kind of like paper edging, where you just have white edging around the paper. So definitely the only thing you really want extending out beyond your margin here or anything like backgrounds or that. Now you can make collage pages. So there's a couple different ways you can make pages here in the program. You could use the pre-made templates under designs, which we'll get to in a little bit. You can also just drag and drop your uploaded photos onto the page. Like if you're making a collage page, for instance, you're just a page full of photos, you can just drag and drop the photos on here, size them to your liking, and then stick them around the page. Now, if you're doing a collage page or candid page where you have the photos extend all the way off to the edge, here's where you might need to look at your photos to see where they will best place on the page, where they will fit without having anything trimmed for them. So when you're doing a collage page, the areas or photos that you're looking for when you put them out is really like the amount of space that you have working above and below. So for an image that were to bleed on a page here, so if it were to bleed off the the outer edge of the page, we see that, our core content, our faces here of our students are within the blue margin line. And what looks to be cut off on this photo is just, empty tree, some background, just a little bit. So nothing important here is being lost. The same as if we move this to the inside, where this will be the binding side, the middle here, and we can see that nothing's being lost in the binding here. And the same as if we take, here, I'm going to get rid of this guy here, take this image, move it down to the bottom, same thing. spaces are safe. We're not losing much here at the bottom. Now, where an image like this, where it doesn't work well, is going to be at the very top bleed. So here, not only is the photo is cropped to where it's right above the student's head, but when we go to push it out to the bleed area, so with an 1/8 inch variance, I'm just going to bring down a guide here. So say that falls short, and the page trims just a little bit in more, from where that line is. So we're taking a little bit more off the top of this student here. So ideally like this, photos, just kind of watch the space that you have. If there was a lot more open space that was up above this photo, like if there's a lot more ceiling, this photo would work out well here. This particular one doesn't, because the crop's right here, and then we just don't want to take any more take away from more of the student in their image. So just some things to look out for when you're building those collages. Just look at the open space that you have. Um, photos more like this, like I said, play good for the left, right, and the bottom, just not up at the top. So that is going over bleeds and margins. Again, your margin line is just your safety area to keep all stuff in. The red outer line is our estimated trim line, and the outer gray here is the bleed, where you'll want your backgrounds sticking all the way out to. All right, so that kind of covers that. Now what we'll kind of do from here is go over some of the designer basics and kind of the toolbars and the stuff that you have to work with here in the program. And we just kind of quickly kind of go over those here. And I'm going to zoom in on the browser here so those buttons show up better. Okay, so just right off across the top, you're working with our standard, file, edit, view menus, and arrange. Under file, here's where you're going to find your save and save as template options. You can also kind of view PDF. Now your save option, this is also a little shortcut icon. It's got a quick icon that's up here on the top toolbar as well. And it is, like the old 3.5 floppy disks that are there. Down under view PDF, this is also our print preview page here option. So this is if you want to proof the page or do like a quick proof of the page real quick for someone to review. That's what this option is here as well. Oh, wasn't anything there. Okay, so that's kind of what we have under file. Under edit, this is where you're going to find your undo and redo. These are also quick shortcuts that are right here on your top toolbar, the little curved arrows. We also have your standard cut, copy, paste, and delete. If you're familiar with keyboard shortcuts for doing these actions, they work here in our program. Control C to copy, Control V as in Victor to paste, Control X to cut. If you're on a Mac, this would be Command X, Command C, and Command V. Coming down further here is change background. I'm going to quickly bring this up, but we have a background menu here that you can use to change out the backgrounds on your page. We're going to come back to this in a little while. This menu, though, is handy to keep up while you're building. It's a little floating menu that you can push off to the side where you're working. But definitely, if you're going through working on backgrounds on a lot of pages and all that, definitely it's handy to keep up there. We also, under edit, we also have our find and replace and our spelling. These are just our text editing options, and that little ABC spell check is up here as well. We also have select, which under select, this allows you to grab multiple or different elements on the page at the same time. So if you want to, let's say if you needed to quickly clear a page, you could do select all. Or let's say if you were wanting to do, if you're wanting to do formatting just to images on the page, you can just do a select images. So this is just going to control what elements that you're looking for, what, highlight just the ones that are here. So let's say if you like had a page that had a few locked elements on it, you needed to find them quickly, you could do, edit, select, and then hit locked elements, and it's going to highlight those there on the page for you. So that's all this is, just a quick selection here. Under view, this is where you get your view options. Like if you want to hide the rulers or hide the page margin, we really don't recommend either of those. Just keep them up. Grids and guides, hide guides, snap to grid. Guides can be brought onto the page by dragging them down from the top ruler and over from the ruler that's on the left. So that's going to help with alignment and positioning. Can also help with spacing, so you want to kind of use those in conjunction with the grids here. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, under your view, this is where you have your zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, and fit in window. This can also be done here on the very top right on the toolbar. You have a little plus and minus to zoom in and out, and a drop down to choose different percentage you can view the page at. And after this, your other view option here is facing or single pages. So this is facing is right now, it's the two-page spread together. If you are working on, if you want to work on just one side, you can go to single page. Another point where you might switch to single pages is if you're an advisor that has a yearbook class and you have staff that are working on the pages. If you've gone through and have assigned your staff spreads, if it's only one staff to a spread, that's fine. But for those that maybe it's one student is assigned to the left and another is assigned to the right page, what you might have to have them do, if you have different students assigned to the left and to the right, have both students switch to a single page view. And this is just to avoid any save errors that may come down the road. But I mean, if it's just one student assigned to a spread, that's fine. They don't need to split it up. But really, it's in that case that you do have one student on one page and another, have both of them switch to a single page view just to avoid any save errors there. All right, and then arrange. I'm going to play with arrange more when we start working and adding some stuff here on the pages. Actually, I'm going to throw on. I thought I had some shapes already here on the page, but I'm going to bring some shapes over here, just kind of show we have some alignment features that are here. Pick some quick colors here. Okay, so under arrange, so I'm going to highlight these elements that are here on the page. Actually, I'm going to go under view here real quick. I'm going to go to grids and guides, and I'm going to go to clear guides and clear all those off there. But I'm going to go back here. So here you can lock and unlock elements that are highlighted. Now, if these that are highlighted here, you can also, the lock function is the little padlock. This is just a shortcut to that same one that we had here. We can group those together under arrange. Now, that is also, if I highlight those back, you do have under arrange, you have group and ungroup. These are also right here under ungroup and group. So they're just little shortcuts that have been added here for those that same function. I'm going to ungroup that here real quick. Arrange. So under arrangement, we can align horizontally, we can arrange vertically. Align horizontally. Let me bring this here. It works best. Now these options right here is align horizontally. Any of these arrange options that are right here, They can also be found from this little icon that's right here that looks like a stack of papers right there, or layers. So gunner here, align object. So our horizontally is basically this align left, center, and right. These are good for columns. So I'll just align them left here real quick. Now, if I were to take these and put them this way, under arrange, this is align vertically. So we can go top, middle, bottom. And again, that's from this drop down here, where we got our top, middle, and bottom. We'd align them that way. So this is good on certain candid pages if you're working on stuff or you need to align just a few objects on a page. Just highlight them. Again, you can use the arrange, or you can come here to this arrange. Both the same thing. That's just a little quick menu. Now this is also any menus here that you see that have a pin. If you click on that, you can then grab it and move it around and keep it up as just a free floating menu that you can come back to, while you're working. And then when you're done working on that little section or aligning stuff, you just click X to close out. All right. So going through on most of what those are. Now, just to get a feel for how this area looks here, we're going to bring stuff up back to 100 here. Okay. So let's start to begin an activity page. Now, when we're first looking at our design area here, first tab that we come to on the left is pages. This is much like your page ladder. This is where you're going to navigate all around and pick a different page that you want to go to. So while you're in the designer, you're working on other pages. There's really no need to jump all the way out to the page ladder unless you just need to go check for some information on what that is. But if you're keen on I need to work on this page, and when I'm done here, I'm then going to go to a page further back. So it's just quick, easy access to your other pages. I'm going to go under designs here. Designs tab is where you're going to find all of our pre-made templates that are here in the program. So this goes to full page templates, and it goes down to click and go, which they're not full page templates, they're a little smaller grouping of elements that can be placed within a template, or spots taken out of a regular template and a click and go added in. So under some of this here, and I'm going to get back to custom here in a little bit, but custom is where if you take any one of our templates and modify the design a little bit, maybe you take a photo box out, add photo boxes in, or replace with text box, or maybe you've done some certain formatting that, round corners or different things like that. If you saved your own template, or take one of ours and save it as a template, this is where it's going to show up here. Now for building candid and activity pages like we're doing today, we're going to go under Page Surfer. So if I open up Page Surfer here, we see we've got candidates, clubs and organizations, gallery, openings and dividers, sports, and student life. All of these categories have different, have pretty good amount of templates just for activity and candidates. Some are more involved than others. So am I involved in others? So if I go under candidates, the candidates folder is great for just candid pages and basic candid pages, but that's all that's in here is really some more simplified templates. Some are just photo boxes. Some may have maybe just photo boxes and then a heading, but I'll bring over a pair like this here. And if we get this message, retain existing content, if you ever see this, we're normally what this does, if you want to retain, normally if you're bringing a template on the page or replacing what's there, and you normally hit no, when the page is blank like it is, it doesn't matter. But let's say that you were bringing this over. Actually, you know what? going to do something for you real quick just to kind of show this here. I'm going to make that a solid color. Okay, so here's where that retain existing content when you're bringing over a template. So when I had a blank page on the right, on the left here, it didn't matter if I hit no or yes. But if I bring, let's say, because this page has a background on it, if I bring my template over, do you want to retain existing content in the new template? If I hit no, it's going to overwrite that, and it's going to drop my template on, but take off the background. So I'm going to undo that real quick. I'm going to go back to having my background on here. So now when I bring the template over, and I get this, do you want to retain existing content in the new template? This time, because I have a background that I want to keep, I'm going to hit yes. It'll load the template on and keep your background. That is primarily like the only time I've really found that it worked well to do that. You can do that with, like if you already had one candid page built and you want to see, well, what happens if it looks like if I bring this template over, and you hit yes, it tries its best to incorporate the photos into the new photo box spots, but sometimes it doesn't quite work out well and stuff doesn't look right or text doesn't go to different boxes. Um, so usually if you get that retain existing content, the only place where I usually hit yes is if I just have a background on the page only when I bring the template on. But other than that, there are just tons here. So this one has a heading that you can do. You can bring this over. Yes. So it's a different tip. This one's just photo boxes that have some strokes on them. Now, if we go to the other categories, there, like I said, there have more going on with them. There's a lot of good stuff here, and just depending on what you're looking for. So I'm bringing this over. No. So something like this could be probably good for a big sports page or a club or student body or something like that. Um, all sorts of different stuff in here. So we do encourage you, like when you first get in here, to look through some of these templates to see if you're brand new. Look through some of these templates, see if there's anything that might work for you. Or let's say that maybe that, well, I kind of like this heading, but I kind of like this other row that's right here, but I want it to be up here as well. So on something like that, no part of our template here is set in stone. We can take stuff out. I'm actually going to highlight this whole part here. I'm actually going to go up and hit group to group that. So with that, now I can do edit copy. I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to do edit paste. Oh, am I not? Oh, I think I have too much there. Yeah, it didn't let me bring that there. So sometimes when you highlight something, if the room is like if you the bounding box on that didn't work out for all that. Okay, I want to get rid of these lines because that's what was doing it. Group that. I was still saying it was too much there. There we go. So I had to grab a smaller part, but you can copy and paste and work some things there, different things. If you're doing sports pages, definitely check out the sports templates that are here. They'll have some good bios, and some of them will have scoreboard spots or player profile pics. So you definitely keep track of those different ones that are through here. But the main point is there is a lot of different templates in here for you to work with. And even if some stuff is close, you're able to modify these to more to your liking that are here. Now, once you get some templates on, I'm just going to stick with this one to kind of go through the rest of what we're doing for today. I got my heading up here. Just name it Candids, make my Candids page. So with your images then and everything that's here, um, images will be brought onto your Candid pages just from the Images tab. Um, you'll go under Images, you go from the drop down. If you've already set up folders, basically if you've set up folders in the image library, you'll then see them here. You'll just navigate to the folder for that particular event that you want to put pictures on for. And then a lot of it is just dragging over to the spots here. Now, when you're bringing your photos on to the page, your photo boxes are going to do one or two things. They're going to highlight green, and if they highlight green, then that means your image is good to go. And if I to let go of this, it's going to fill out the space that is there. Now, if I bring an image over and the photo boxes highlight red, well, that means that's telling me that my image is it doesn't have the full, it doesn't have large enough or size or resolution to fill that spot. And you'll need to take it to a smaller spot. Now what happens if you bring an image over, it's red, but you still let go and place the image? Well, it will just drop on top of this other photo box. So the program creates its own photo box for it to drop into. But then you'll notice if you go to enlarge it, the program won't let you enlarge this beyond, it won't let you bring any more because the program's not going to enlarge an image beyond its actual size. So on an image like this, it would work, like, oh, maybe I can take this to a collage page where sizing doesn't matter. So look for other places that you could use the image. Another thing is, while it didn't work here in these larger spots, how they're hitting red, if I bring them over here, I do see it's fitting in these smaller spots. So sometimes it's kind of seeing what you have available here or what you have. But if it's green, it's going to place and it's going to fill. If it goes red, then you may have to choose another image or see if you can get a higher quality version of that photo, if possible. Okay, so let's see, we're adding photos. Text is here on the page. Now that I've got a few stuff in here, I've got text, I've got a candid, and I've just got some shapes. So one thing you'll notice while you're working on your page is, depending on the element that you have selected on the page, there's going to be a toolbar that pops up above the page that has different options depending on what you have selected. So if I have a photo selected, this toolbar is going to pop up and it's going to have the different photo editing options where I can adjust my stroke. I can come under the format and effects and I could rounding the corners, um, transparent, tinting it, things like that. Um, if you have text selected, then you have the different text editing options. So if you want to make that bold or change the size or change the font. And then of course, if you got a shape selected, then you have different shape editing options. So we could change that up to a different color that is there. So that's just kind of some basics on working with elements. So just change that. Don't like that. There we go. I like the size of that. So if I wanted to change the stroke color, that wasn't better enough change, but um, let's see here. So we got placing templates. We've added this. Um, Backgrounds. If we go back to this now, if we wanted to toss a background on our page, yeah, go under edit, go to change background. Okay, so for background menu that is here, so we can choose between left page and right page. If you wanted to do just a solid color, you could go under background color and just add, I'll just add something on here that shows that we do solid color there. Now, if we wanted a clip art background, or let's say that you picked one of our yearbook covers and we're going with a certain theme, this is where we go under choose image. And from the drop down here, we're going to look for clip art. And our clip art, we're going to look for by cover. And just an example is if, let's see, we'll just pick, oh, there we go. I'll just pick burst here. So if you went with cover burst, or another big one that a lot of people use is branching out. So this branching out has some backgrounds. So if it's outlined in red, these are usually little pieces of clip art. But then we get past these and we get to these images. Here are the backgrounds that go with those. So I'm just going to select one of the branching out backgrounds and hit select. And then you'll see that it applies to the whole page here. And this one has a left and a right side. So I'm going to go back to right page. I'm going to hit choose image. And okay, go to the right side of that, hit select and apply it here. Now, at any point in time, if it was a page like this that had writing in the middle, and sometimes the background design can be a bit bold or overpowering. So if you have something kind of like this where it's text and you need to kind of or lighten the background, here on that change backgrounds menu, there is a little tint option. You can hit that slider. I'm going to go to the left page here. So we can lighten that background just a little bit, and now we can see our text. See our text a lot better. That was there, and it's more readable as well. Okay, just trying to think of on what we can do or what we have done with our pages here. Definitely do a template, dropping photos in, working with text. Oh, probably I'm going to take this out. So one good thing is if you are rearranging these templates is how do you add different elements back in. So if you're modifying this, so I'm going to take out this bottom section here. So let's say I wanted to put in another couple pictures and maybe a little couple of caption boxes. For the extra image frames, you could copy and paste from what is here on the pages. If you want to add a brand new one, you can go up to the art tab, hit image frame, and we have the different image frames that go within here. And just take one of these. I'll add this in. I'll drop another one in here. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to align those. So I'm going to go back under my arrange drop down. I'm going to align the tops of those. Now, one thing I'm noticing that these other boxes have on the page is a stroke, and these don't have one applied to it. To do that, what I'm first going to do is if I click on one of these boxes, I'm going to see up at the top toolbar that the size of that stroke is 2, and it's just the default black color that is there. So for these, if I just select it, I just need to go up to the stroke size drop down and hit 2 to match that. And there we go. So now I want to add a couple caption boxes that would go under here. So if I go to text, the text tab is here. We're going to see, you're going to see things, what these items right here. You're going to see like body copy, caption, headline, subline, subheadline, tagline. So what are these? These are what we call styles. Now a style is just basically a style, it's a pre-styled text box, meaning from body copy down, because page number is just your little page numbers here, but all these here, if I take one of these styles and drag and drop it to the page, it'll add that style. Basically, it adds a text box, but in that style that it was. So if I bring over the body copy, it's going to bring over text box. It's going to say body copy, but it's going to be in the size and the style that it was saved in. This just when this text box is brought over, it just happens to be, AYT Foundation Roman 12 point, where when this text box is brought to the page, this style, it's a Foundation Sans 24 point bold. Now these styles, once they are brought to a page, this is how they will just start. They just start this way. But once they're brought onto a page, you're able to take that text box. You can adjust the text box to however you want there. But once these are on the page, you're able to change these back to any other thing here. You could change the font style. You could change that to 12. I could make this one, larger type if I wanted. But the thing is, just the style is that is just how the text box starts. And once it's on the page, you are good to change it up to any other font style and size that is there. But just wanted to show you how to add those in and what you can do and what styles were and how to work with them. All right. So one of the last things we'll kind of show you here, as you're working on your pages, one thing that we do, and I'm going to hit save now, one thing that they tell you to do, let's see how far I can go back here. There we go. I'm going to save that again. Okay. So while you're working on our pages, it's important to save kind of often, save frequently. The flow process has an automatic save in it when you're building your class pages, but when you're working on your candids, there's no automatic process for that. It's just to kind of, do 2 or 3 things and save is just kind of what we suggest. And for that, um, for advisors, when they're in the page designer have one extra button that is here, and that is the history button. The program keeps track of each and every saved change for each and every page. So as you're working on a page, let's say you get a few basic things done, you get your pictures in, you get your type in, but then you start working with formatting or backgrounds. What we may suggest is getting all your pictures and type on the page and then saving it like as a restore point. Because in the event, let's say that you do start playing with, like here in this, I have it back, but you're working with formatting and be like, you know what, I really liked what I did so many changes ago, or I liked what I had on there yesterday, or, I changed the formatting and I think I liked the formatting I had before somewhere. Now, if you're saving your changes often, it's easy to put those restore points back to work from. So here on the history tab, the reason I went all the way back to here is, well, let's say that those 2 photo boxes that I had here, that was the direction I wanted to go. Let's say I did want to do that. And how do I get back to that? You'd come over to the history tab, you'd find that restore point, and then you're just going to drag and drop it back over to the page. And then you would have your progress. Or I'll hit save there, so that progress saves again. Another thing is, let's say that I had some formatting on here, or I had the page on here, I had it looking a different way last week, and I want to go back to that and kind of start over. Find your page in history, bring it back over. Um, this was actually something I did in a live webinar the last time we did this, about a month or so ago. So it's just you can go back to that price. As long as you're saving your changes, you can always go back and apply something that if you need to. But just wanted to point that out there, just to encourage save changing, saving often. That way, in case something does happen that um, that's unfortunate, maybe you've changed stuff, or maybe you didn't like the direction of how the formatting went or that, and you will need to restore back, this is a great tool to help you with that. Um, there are probably a lot of things that we could go over on building pages, what you can do. Hopefully I've gone through here and done some basics on just getting templates, and when you have toolbars or you have items selected, which toolbars to go to work with that material. As far as I've kind of thought I've covered everything that would get you going. I do have about 10 minutes or so. I could, if you want, we could open this up to some Q&A. So if you have any questions at the moment, feel free to unmute yourself and ask that question. Or if you want to put that question in the chat for the go-to, you can put that question there and I'll try to address it. But yeah, if you want, for next 10 minutes, I'll open this up to anyone that's got questions.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
When I go to try to change my text style in the drop down, I don't have anything. There are no options.
You mean there's no options here?
Right.
Okay. So kind of going back to our getting started, if you're in as advisor, go to plan and go to fonts here, because here, let me save my done here. So only advisors can add fonts here. So if you go to plan and fonts, you start off with just 2 default fonts, and then you just come through here and toggle on any of the ones that you wanted to use here. And then now one thing I will, for anyone adding fonts or has to go back and add some fonts, one thing I'll point out to you, and I'm going to use Amperstencil real quick. The second you click that button, it immediately shoots up to the top. I'm already on the next font here, and that Amperstencil went up there. So just wanted to point that out, that they instantly go up the top. We do have cases where we get to where people will accidentally, they won't think they're activating a font, but they've activated over 10 or so. But yes, adding fonts there, that'll get you more to work with on your pages.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there a way to add text onto an image?
With that, it's more here, let me zoom in. It's more overlapping it. I'll just take this team box here. So it'd be overlapping your text box, but then let's see, you can change that font to a different font color. So you could do things like this if that's you know, you could layer the text box over the photo to have a look like that. Now, depending on what is brought onto the page first, you may have to work with your arrange to either send something backward or forward. But yeah, that's all you have to do there.
That's great. Thank you.
Welcome. Um, any other questions for today that we have? Okay. Well, sound like we've kind of covered what we needed to get people going today. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. So thank you everybody for joining me this afternoon. Hopefully these demonstrations of the functions related to the creation of activity pages may help when it comes time to build your book. Definitely make use of the templates that are already in the program. And remember, you can edit those to have your own templates. That should save you some time and give the book continuity. This concludes this building activity pages webinar. We'll have one Thursday, but that kind of includes it for the season. So if you want to join back in about 2 weeks from now, we'll do our final stages webinars where we show you how to complete and submit your pages. So thank you again, everybody. Have a great rest of your afternoon.